Hey everybody, and welcome back to the channel. We have another episode of our Gridiron Rundown podcast. Going to be covering the NFL today. The last podcast we covered college football. Going to be giving a brief, quick rundown of the Week One games, as well as covering some trends that we saw in Week One, and a little preview for Week Two that's coming up in the NFL. Recording this Wednesday, September 10th. So tomorrow there's the Thursday night game between the Packers and the Commanders. We'll cover that as well. Talk about that game. But yeah, before we get started, if you guys could follow, subscribe, depending on the platform you're on, to the podcast. We'll have new episodes coming out pretty consistently. Depending on what platform you're on, if you're watching on Apple or Spotify, please be sure to check out our YouTube page, as well as our TikTok page or Facebook or Instagram. We'll be posting more shorter form content there, as Apple or Spotify will just be getting the shorter form content. But yeah, subscribe to the channel, like the video, and yeah, let's get started. So, uh, covering week one, wasn't really a ton of surprising scores here. Just looking at them, nothing that really jumped out to me. Is like, wow, that was kind of shocking. The Eagles and Cowboys game being as competitive as it was, where I'm gonna be honest with you, Dallas kind of looked like the better team for the most part, especially on offense. Now they couldn't stop Jalen Hurts running the football, but you know, aside from Lamar, like you could make the argument that he's the second best running quarterback in the league. Um, I don't know, who you would take, him or Josh Allen or there's a couple of other guys that come to mind too. Kyler and Jaden Daniels now, but a lot of them don't run as much. Jalen does look to do that, so not surprising that he killed Dallas on that, especially with them being without Micah. But it was kind of surprising that that game was as close as it was. Although Philly did also kind of get emotionally, punched in the groin to start the game, losing, the player on the special teams, the kickoff, and then Jalen Carter spitting. But that game didn't really surprise me too much in terms of the Eagles winning. Just a little surprised on how close it was. Chargers and Chiefs, game outside of the country. I'm not going to overreact to the Chiefs losing and say that their run is over or anything crazy like that. The Chargers are a really good football team. Um, Chiefs' offensive weapons continue to be a problem. There's another trend that we can see going forward another year, but um, I don't know. So far, Mahomes and Reed have pulled it out, so I don't expect the Chiefs to miss a beat. If they do and things go south this year, I guess it'll just be what it is. But I'm not going to be the person that predicts that, because they've always figured it out. But yeah, Mahomes was absolutely amazing that game. The stuff he was able to do despite the lack of help, and Jawan Taylor getting a penalty every 5 seconds. But overall, just strictly looking at the Chiefs losing that game, that's not surprising. Um, you know, that's a crazy game out of the country. Also on a Friday. Xavier Worthy goes down early. I know the Chargers were without Rashawn Slater as well. Like this is a weird game. I'm not gonna take too much from that one. The Colts beating the Dolphins, not surprising. The Colts blowing them out, little surprising, but again, end result not too shocking. Yeah, none of the other results really shocked me. Uh, the Packers beat the Lions pretty easily, but then actually just physically beating the Lions, not surprising at all. Which brings me to a trend that it's kind of obvious, if you look at it, but take out the Chargers and Chiefs, and virtually every team that won either A had an advantage at head coach and quarterback, or B were just an overwhelming more talented team. Uh, Eagles had an advantage at head coach and quarterback, and were the by far the more talented team. Take out Chargers and Chiefs. So you actually could argue the Chargers are a more talented team, um, top to bottom, but head coach and quarterback combo would go to the Chiefs. But yeah, look, Dolphins, Colts. The Colts are a more talented roster as of right now. Steelers and Jets. Steelers are a more talented team and have a head coach and quarterback combo advantage. Jaguars and Panthers. Jaguars are a more talented team and have the head coach and quarterback. Excuse me, sorry. Cardinals and Saints. Yeah, head coach quarterback combo is an advantage to the Cardinals. Head coach, you could argue not. Jonathan Gannon's actually done a really good job with the Cardinals, and Kyler is just much better than at this point in time than Spencer Rattler is. Giants and Commanders, head coach quarterback combo advantage, and also overall team. I believe the Commanders are better. Buccaneers Falcons, again, head coach quarterback combo and overall team just better. Bengals Browns, head coach quarterback. Raiders Patriot, head coach quarterback advantage. Vrabel, I believe Vrabel's a very good coach, and I actually do believe there is a potential, not guaranteed, but potential Drake May becomes a good quarterback. But as of right now, right this second, Geno Smith is a better quarterback. The gap between Geno Smith, where he's at in this stage in his career, and Drake May is bigger than the gap between Vrabel and, even if you believe Vrabel's a better coach, the gap between Geno and Drake May at this stage would be bigger than between Pete Carroll and Mike Vrabel. But I would take the head coach quarterback combo of the Raiders today. 5 years from now, probably not. Today, yeah. Niners and Seahawks, yeah, head coach quarterback combo. The Niners, they're better. Broncos, Sean Payton, Bo Nix, better than the Titans. The Packers, Jordan Love, Matt LaFleur, better advantage Packers. Sorry, I'm the biggest Jared Goff fan you'll probably find, or one of them, anyways. I'm a huge Jared Goff supporter and believer and root for the guy, but Packers are the better team too. They're not the better overall talented team, but I do believe their head coach quarterback combo is amazing. I mean, I think LaFleur is one of the best coaches in the league. You know, take that as you will. Rams, Texans, Stafford and McVay are considerably better than D'Amico and CJ Stroud, especially at this point in time. 3 years from now, that'll probably change because depending on who the Rams have at quarterback. Especially because Sean McVay, in my opinion, is the second best coach in football behind Andy Reid. Ravens, Bills. Sorry, Josh Allen, in my opinion, is a better quarterback than Lamar. McDermott and Harbaugh, as far as I'm concerned, they're equal. I believe Josh Allen's better than Lamar. They won, which we'll talk about that game here in a moment as well. And then Vikings, Bears. I don't know about the quarterback situation, who's better between McCarthy and Williams. Both of them prove that they can have good moments and bad moments in that game. But as a head coach, now as a play caller or an offensive coordinator, you could make arguments about Ben Johnson. But as a head coach, at this point in time, I'm taking Kevin O'Connell as a head coach over Ben Johnson. Yeah, head coach, quarterback. Like that. That's it. Unless there's just an overwhelming talent discrepancy, like Mike McDonald and Tua better than Shane Steichen and Daniel Jones. I don't know. It could even be tied, but the Colts just have the overall better roster. Aside from that, literally every other single. And like, even if the Raiders and Patriots is like the one where maybe you could argue the Patriots had the better quarterback and head coach, like their roster is not nearly as good as the. That's literally what happened in week 1, down the board. Is that what's going to happen in week 2? Probably. Now there'll be some quarterback head coach combo that we all agree is amazing that'll lose to some terrible team, but for the most part, that's what defines game, especially in the NFL. Now, as far as like, if you're betting, looking at spread, when it comes to covering the spread or not, totally different story. We're talking about just straight up winning the game. Because a lot of those games that I mentioned where the head coach and quarterback combo was better, some of those it was considerably better, and it was a much closer game than it should have been. So I'm not saying like, oh, you have the better head coach and quarterback, you're going to win by 30. Um, but even if, hindsight looking at it, they got lucky to win, like it just happens. Like you're given more opportunities with the better head coach and quarterback. So they usually do win those games. All right, moving on. Um, there's a couple of games that I just want to touch on for just a moment. Um, Actually, in all honesty, I want to touch on two games, and it was the Sunday night and Monday night football game, which I did provide an instant reaction to. Those clips are up on our social medias aside from Apple and Spotify. So if you're only listening to Apple and Spotify, follow us there, but also go check us out on those other social media accounts so you can see the shorter clips and the instant reactions and stuff like that. But we'll start with Ravens and Bills. Um, Listen, that was one of the craziest games I've ever seen. Although we saw a similar game the following night, Monday night, the one Sunday night was much crazier, especially given the circumstances of the game, and it was the rematch of the playoffs, and it's two big brands and two big quarterbacks, and yada yada yada, so on and so forth. Um, but I don't know, man. The Ravens have a choking. And a lot of people, might say, well, the Ravens beat them last year. Yeah, well, they didn't in the playoff. It's not just playoff games that they choke in. They choke in regular season games too. You can go back to, I don't remember if it was week 1 or week 2 last year. I feel like, didn't the Ravens and Chiefs play in week 1 last year? Maybe it was week 2. At any rate, it was very early in the season, and the Ravens lost to the Raiders, who were not good last year at all. And the Ravens should have won that game. The Ravens were the better team in that game until basically the final few moments, and then the Raiders just, took over. The Ravens lose games they should not. Now, the Ravens will play somebody this year, and they'll beat them by like 30, and everyone will be jumping back on the Ravens bandwagon. But until they win something, I'm out. I mean, I've been out on the Ravens, but just publicly want to get out there, I'm out on the Ravens and Lamar Jackson. I'm sorry. And you know what? You could say, oh, it was a fluke. Derrick Henry fumbled. And you know what? That's right. Something happens one time, you can write it off as an accident or, forgive the person or write it off as a fluke or whatever. But when something happens over and over and over again, it doesn't matter. Like, it is what it is, regardless of whether it was an accident or not, regardless of whether it was a fluke or not, regardless, whatever the circumstances are, it continues to happen. Ravens lose big games after big game after big game after big game. Most of the time, it has been on Lamar. Sunday night, I don't put on Lamar's shoulders, obviously. Their defense is a massive part of that. I'm not even going to blame Derrick Henry for the fumble. Like, I'm sorry, your offense is playing that good, and you have one mistake, a fumble, and you lose. Your defense has to be better. Okay, if this was a close game and it was like 10-6 Ravens and they had the ball with a chance to run the clock out and it had been a defensive struggle the entire game and you wanted to put it on Derrick Henry, fine. No. That was not what that game was Sunday night. Ravens defense was atrocious. So was the Bills, but at the end of the day, the Bills defense didn't come back to bite them because their offense made plays and made up for it. The Ravens had a fumble, but that's not putting it on the Ravens. The defense should be in a position to where one turnover doesn't cost you a game, especially cost you a game when you have, a 14, 13-point lead in the fourth quarter. Whatever it was, 13, 14, whatever. No, shouldn't cost you that at all. Ravens got to be better. I don't know where they go from here. Let's move to the Monday night game. Chicago versus Minnesota. It was played in Chicago. The Bears came out, and I'm going to be honest with you, the Bears came out in that first drive, even the second drive, so I believe the second drive is the one where they drove down and went for it on fourth down and didn't get it. If that was the third drive, then first and third, but I'm pretty sure it was the second drive. So the first two drives of the game, it looked like, the Bears had the home run high of like the last few years, like Ben Johnson. it looked like the Sean McVay Rams, where the Rams came out of the gate and just annihilated people immediately. They were a terrible team. Sean McVay gets there. The Rams annihilate people. They either started out 8-0 or something like that. Just annihilated people. Ended up losing to the Falcons, but I believe it was the Falcons. Yeah, I believe so. But at any rate, like that's what it looked like. It looked like the best hire since Sean McVay. Caleb looked amazing. Caleb looks like a completely different quarterback. By the way, i.e. Jared Goff looked awful under Jeff Fisher. Looked like he was a bust, much like Caleb Williams looked in year one. Sean McVay comes in, and Jared Goff looks like a top 5, top 10 at worst quarterback. Caleb Williams, that first drive, looked like he was going to be a top 10 quarterback here at worst. Caleb was amazing. That offense was amazing. It was scripted, though, because we all know the NFL coaches, like the first, 10 to 15, some coaches might even do 20 plays are scripted. And Caleb looked like a Pro Bowl level quarterback, like a quarterback you could win a Super Bowl with. Not just, he's good enough to where if the team's great, you can win. No, Caleb looked good enough to be like a quarterback that could lead you to a Super Bowl. Caleb looked amazing. And then the wheels fell off. And they didn't come back on. But before, I have a point I want to make, and I want to bring up JJ McCarthy too. Because a lot of people were talking about JJ and Caleb following this game, rightfully so. I mean, number one, they're the quarterbacks. Quarterbacks are always going to be talked about. Number two, all the pressure on both of them, of course, they're going to be talked about. And then number three, the way the game unfolded, triple, of course, they're going to be talked about. A lot of people were dunking on JJ online because of the way the game started. And listen, I'm not going to tell you he played great. I'm not. It was bad. It was real, real bad. I'm not going to lie to you. But then he, unlike Caleb, who started out hot and then fell off a cliff, JJ started out bad. Then it got real bad with the interception. And then he took off like a rocket ship and won the game. Because the end of his game was better than the beginning of Caleb's game. Despite the fact that Caleb never looked as bad as JJ did on that interception, at least in my opinion. But this is the point I want to make. So, a lot of people were clowning both of them. The bad play by JJ McCarthy is much more defensible than Caleb. Here's why. So, let's talk JJ first. First of all, he's technically it's his second year, just like Caleb. They were the same draft class. He's a rookie. Let's just be honest. He didn't play. He got hurt in the preseason last year. Didn't play. I think he played in like a game and a half in the preseason, or was it even a full game? I don't remember if he got hurt in the first or the second game of the preseason, but essentially a rookie. He had complications with the surgery. Remember, like I believe he did anyways, because I know there were images floating around and reports floating around of him like losing a lot of weight, this and that. I mean, even if he didn't have that, like to be able to like imagine like taking a new job and being like, I don't know, 3-4 weeks into the job, like you're just starting to get the hang of it, and then you can't go back to work for 11 months, for 8, 9, 10 months. You can't at all. Like you can sitting at home or wherever you are, like you can try and think about your job and like what it was like, but you really don't know. And then when you come back to work 8 to 10 months later, having just that 1 month of experience, not only are you expected to know what you're doing, but you're instantly promoted to management. You go from being the lowest of the low on the totem pole, right? A real NFL rookie, right? Who has, unless something goes horribly wrong, is not playing this year, to starting quarterback of the NFL, of an NFL team. And, oh yeah, by the way, you're playing on prime time in what's going to be a heavily watched game because of not only you and your team's success last year and you coming in and your success in college, but also because of the person you're playing and everything dealing with them. That's insane. An insane amount of pressure. and their pass protection, especially without Christian Darrisaw. He's got to come back. Vikings offensive line was not good. They could not block the Bears defense. Which, by the way, Dennis Allen in Chicago is a problem. I don't think people remember how good the New Orleans Saints defenses were when Sean Payton was the head coach of New Orleans. Because you know who his defensive coordinator was? It was Dennis Allen. They were a problem. Nobody wanted to play that defense. He's not the head coach anymore. Head coach, Dennis Allen, disaster. Defensive coordinator, Dennis Allen, very, very good. Right? See this a lot. Head coaches, especially defensive coordinators, it seems, become head coaches, look awful, go back to being defensive coordinators, and go back to kicking everybody's ass. Dennis Allen's a problem. J.J. McCarthy was facing that. Now, granted, Caleb Williams was facing Brian Flores, which we'll talk about in a minute, but I think a lot of people sleep on Dennis Allen, the defensive coordinator. He's one of the best in the league. He's very, very, very good. But yeah, so JJ had all that about him, missing all the pressure. He had Dennis Allen. He had no pass protection, and his receivers really weren't getting open. Now, is that Kevin O'Connell's fault for the play calling? Is that the receivers? Is that just how good Dennis Allen and that Chicago defense was and those players? I don't know. Either way, that's not on J.J. McCarthy. Now, J.J. McCarthy still had plenty of opportunities to make better decisions. The interception was bad. He never should have been put in that position, though, number one. But number two, it was bad. Okay, that was JJ's fault. There were other things that were JJ's fault. He had a throw to TJ Hawkinson, which it didn't end up being a fumble, but it was reviewed like it was a fumble, and it was very close to being a fumble where he underthrows TJ Hawkinson and puts it on the ground, too. So not only is it behind Hawkinson, but he also has to go to the ground to catch it, and then the ball just gets, peanut punched out. JJ wasn't perfect, but I think there's a lot of things where you can say, not he's excused, not let's forget about the first three quarters, not that JJ was amazing. No, what we're going to do is we're going to give JJ McCarthy another chance. Caleb, again, amazing start. Like, he looked like one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL. Used to talk in college football, said one of the best quarterbacks in the country, which I guess technically is also true. But he looked amazing. That offense looked amazing. But after about the second, third drive, Caleb started to look bad. He started to look objectively bad, not just as an NFL quarterback, but especially given who he's supposed to be and the talent that he does have. He's a very talented. One reason why I'll say it's different is, first of all, the Vikings pass rush, while good, not as good as Chicago's wasn't. Chicago's offensive line played better. Or maybe the Vikings defense played worse than Chicago's, again, whichever one, it doesn't really matter. Caleb had better protection. Caleb's receivers were getting more open. Now, again, is that the receivers? Is that the Vikings DBs? Is that on the coach? Is it because Kevin O'Connell failed his receivers and Ben Johnson was great? Or the Vikings DBs suck and the receiver? I don't know. I just know Caleb's receivers were getting much more open than J.J. McCarthy. But here's the interesting fact. When Caleb Williams was bad, like when I say he was bad, what I'm referring to is Caleb Williams would have receivers running wide open and he would miss them. He couldn't hit the broadside of the barn. Couldn't hit the ocean from a boat. Like, it was off. J.J. McCarthy made bad decisions and could have put the balls in better places, but his receivers weren't just running wide open down the middle of the field or on the sidelines or whatever. No. They weren't. I mean, there were times where they were, obviously, but like for the most part, they weren't. Caleb's were, and Caleb missed them. Chicago easily, without a doubt, easily should have had 3 other touchdowns. And checks notes on score, yeah. If Chicago had 21 extra points, the game's over. And that's minimum. Probably more than Caleb, I don't know, man. We'll see if they can correct it. I don't know if it was nerves, if it was a timing issue, maybe. I don't know. Maybe it's a timing issue and him and the receivers can work it out. I don't know. Maybe it's a miscommunication. Caleb thought the play was this and the receiver thought the play was that. I don't know. I just know it wasn't pretty. Got to be better. That's why Caleb's performance was more disturbing. Not to mention the fact that Caleb Williams is second year in the NFL. Yes, it's a new system. So you could argue JJ maybe understood the terminology of Kevin O'Connell's system better because even if he wasn't playing, he could have been studying the playbook, which I guess is technically true. Caleb's play. Caleb also played in USC and Oklahoma under a Lincoln Riley offense where the quarterback was asked to do a lot. JJ did not. JJ was not asked to, hardly ever. In fact, when they won the national championship, they almost didn't even go to the game because JJ immediately in the first or second play of the game, I believe, they were right at an Alabama defender. If y'all remember that, and it should have been a pick six, and Alabama probably wins that. JJ threw the ball right to him. But that's all I'm going to say on that. I'm withholding judgment on either of those two quarterbacks until we see more. I need to see Caleb more in Ben Johnson's offense. I need to see J.J. McCarthy more. But I'm just simply saying, if you ask me whose performance was more concerning, it's Caleb for those reasons. Yeah, let's talk games coming up. So I'm recording this again on Wednesday, the 10th. Tomorrow night we have the Commanders and Packers. I couldn't tell you how this game is going to go. If we're basing it on last year, the Commanders should win. They were the better team last year. If we're basing it off of off-season moves, I don't know. They both were equal, but just looking at, basing it on last week, the Packers should probably win. But if you're asking me who do I think is going to win, I think it's the Packers. For the straight up simple reason of I think their head coach and quarterback combo is better. Now, I think Jaden Daniels is a better quarterback than Jordan Love, but I think the gap between Jaden Daniels and Jordan Love is closer than the gap between Dan Quinn and Matt LaFleur. I think Matt LaFleur is a better coach than Dan Quinn. The gap between them is bigger, head coach to head coach, than the gap between Jordan Love and Jaden Daniels. At least today. That's how I feel. Not to mention the fact that the Packers are at home. Micah Parsons is probably going to get more run this week. So, I don't know. I like the Packers in that one. Couldn't tell you, although I will tell you Thursday nights have a history of just being weird games. So, I don't know. Maybe the Commanders win. This one, kind of go either way. This kind of feels similar, not at all, but just in terms of quarterback and head coach might not matter in terms of the Chiefs and the Chargers or the Raiders and the it's kind of close, so who knows? Better team's probably going to win. I don't know. That one is a toss-up to me, but I'm just going to lean Packers because they're at home and I like their head coach and quarterback combo better. Then we got Giants and Cowboys. If Russell Wilson's starting, I don't know. But then again, the Cowboys defense, is it going to play as good as it did against the Eagles? Usually teams that are expected to be really bad because their roster is really bad, they usually have about a week or 2 or 3 of coming out swinging. I don't know. You asked me to pick right now, I'd probably take the Cowboys. But I could easily see the Giants dominating this game because the Cowboys can't get a pass rush and the Giants just throw it all over them because they can get a pass. I could see that one going either way as well, but I'd lean Cowboys right now. Seahawks and Steelers. It is in Pittsburgh. Seattle is going to have to go across the country. They're coming off an emotional loss in the division. I could easily see the Seahawks losing this game. Easily. And only thing that holds me back is that Steelers defense did not look good in week 1. But I'm going to go with the Steelers here. I don't know. The Steelers looked pretty impressive week 1. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm not gonna overreact. The Seahawks did not look good. Sam Darnold did Sam Darnold things when they had a chance to win the game and fumbled the ball. Just knocked it right off of his offensive lineman's back. Not ideal. Rams Titans. I like the Rams in this one. The Rams offense is concerning, but what do you expect? You have an older quarterback who's coming off a back injury, who is probably still injured, and didn't play in the preseason. Going up against the D'Amico Ryans defense, that Texans defense is nasty. They won, but it was a struggle. They're going up against the Titans this week. Titans have a much worse defense and have a bad O-line that Rams pass rush should be able to get after. I like the Rams in this one. Also, head coach quarterback combo and just overall team talent. I like the Rams in this one. Bills and Jets. Give me the Bills all day long. Justin Fields looked amazing in week 1. Like, he looked like a Pro Bowl level quarterback. But no offense to Justin Fields, I'm going to need to see it more than 1 week in a row to think that you're going to be better than Josh Allen, especially when it's a division game and the Bills definitely want to win it. So yeah, give me the Bills. Patriots, Dolphins. Couldn't tell you who's going to win this game. I'm at no point in time until I am proven. I talked about the Justin Fields would need to prove it to me again. Justin Fields would come out this week and play great again, and he would prove it to me. The Dolphins are going to have to, like, 1,000,000 times more than that prove to me before I ever will say that they're going to win a game. I'm sorry. Give me the Patriots all day long. That's not a game I would probably bet on because, I mean, Tua and Tyreek Hill could literally just take over and win a game, but nope. Won't ever hear me talk about it. Give me the Patriots. Jaguars, Bengals. This is interesting because both of these offenses, the Jaguars and the Bengals, especially now that the Jaguars have Liam Cohen, both of these but even before Liam Cohen in the Trevor Lawrence days, have had the ability to explode for 40 points. And the very next 1 week explode for 40 and beat a team 42-9, and then the next week have like 3 points against the Patriots when they're 2-14. These two offenses are so erratic. Now I can't say that for sure about the Jaguars because I'm a huge Liam Cohen fan and he just got there, so maybe he can help correct that. But overall, give me Cincinnati. Although the Jaguars did look very impressive, but Bengals are at home, better head coach, better quarterback combo. Give me the Bengals. I think. Although Liam Cohen definitely could take advantage of this defense. This Bengal defense. We'll see. I don't know. I mean, Flacco and Stefanski, Flacco's not amazing, but Stefanski's a good enough head coach to take advantage of a defense like that. And I don't know what they have, 16 points. Browns did in week 1. Wasn't crazy. Give me the Bengals, I guess. Probably not a game I would bet on because of the just erratic nature of the Bengals and Jaguars. Like, you never know what you're going to get. 49ers and Saints. 49ers dealing with a lot of injuries on the road. To me, this will come down to, does Brock Purdy play? Brock Purdy plays. Give me the Niners. If Brock Purdy doesn't play, I don't know. I don't know what Mac Jones looks like in this system. Because Mac Jones just kind of feels like the type of quarterback that would excel in a Kyle Shanahan offense. But then again, it's also Mac Jones. So would I even dare bet on that? I don't know. I don't know. Browns and Ravens. Yeah, give me the Ravens. I don't think the Browns are going to be good. Kind of thought like maybe, but no. Ravens, Bears, Lions. Give me the Lions. Well, I don't know. Chicago might win that game. Chicago's offense looked real good in that first quarter. Then it looked real bad. But a real good first quarter could be good enough to beat the Lions because their defense or their offense doesn't look like it's going to be scoring that much this year. But I'll take the Lions at home. Better roster. I don't feel comfortable about it. Broncos and Colts. Give me the Broncos. Listen, Shane Steichen did it a couple years ago with Gardner Minshew, so he very well could do it again with Daniel Jones. Lightning doesn't usually strike twice in the same place, and Brian Daboll's already done this with Daniel Jones, so Daniel Jones doing it again with a different head coach, not likely. Give me the Broncos. Panthers and Cardinals. Cardinals are at home. Give me them. Panthers have to travel across the country. Tough to see an 0-2 start for the Panthers. Pretty high on them. Not in terms of them like being some juggernaut. Just like I think they could be pretty good this year, but 0-2 start not good for the Panthers. Eagles and Chiefs. Yeah, just give me the Eagles right now. The Chiefs are going to be extra motivated, but I don't know who's going to catch the ball. I don't know. I don't know. I really want to pick the Chiefs because I think the Chiefs are, on a day in, day out basis, the best team in the NFL. Obviously, the Eagles were the better team. Super Bowl, the Chargers were the better team Friday, but play it out a million times. The Chiefs are going to overall be the better team like we've seen the last 7 years, but I don't know. If Chiefs go 0-2, which, by the way, a loss in the Super Bowl would be a 3-game losing streak, be tough. Although if a team could climb out of that, it would be the Chiefs. But I don't know. I'm leaning Eagles right now. Falcons and Vikings. Give me the Vikings. I don't know. I don't like anything about the Falcons. Really don't. Don't at all. Nope. Don't like the Falcons. Buccaneers and Texans. Give me the Buccaneers. I'm huge on Baker. Texans, kind of a weird roster. I like D'Amico. I like C.J. Stroud. I like Nico Collins. Like I love Will Anderson and Derek Stingley. Whatever they're building down there, just it doesn't feel right the way they're building their roster. Give me the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And ending it off Monday night, Chargers, Raiders. Give me the Chargers. Yeah, give me the Chargers. All day, every day. Give me the Chargers. But it's going to do it for the week 2 wrap up. We recapped week 1, talked about the trend. We'll have more videos out going over. Obviously, this weekend we'll have the instant reactions to all the games coming out. If there's any big breaking news coming out, we'll go over that. We didn't really cover the Tanks Bigsby trade. Could care less. He's going to the Eagles. He's not going to get more snaps than Saquon Barkley. I don't care. I feel like the Eagles actually kind of gave away a little too much, at least on paper. Now, I think Bigsby could end up being amazing for them, but on paper, a lot of picks to give up to a backup running back. It's a lot, especially with the way mid-round picks have kind of been hitting. That round 3 through round 5. The last couple of years, there's been a lot of good players come out of that. I don't know, felt kind of expensive to me, but like I said, we'll have more reactions coming out to all the games this weekend, and if there's any other news coming out, we will have that. College football podcast coming soon, and we'll have that as well, reactions to the college football news and games. Subscribe to the channel. Even if you're watching on Apple and Spotify, follow me there, but go check out the YouTube or the TikTok or the Facebook or the Instagram, preferably all of them, but at least one of them so you can have access to the instant reaction and the shorter form videos that we'll post. Thank you guys so much for watching. Till next time. Peace.